Verification versus certification audit. What NDIS providers get wrong. One of the most common mistakes I see new NDIS providers make is this. They don't actually understand the difference between verification and certification. They hear audit, they tense up and they assume it's all the same. It's not. And misunderstanding this early creates unnecessary stress, delays, and sometimes thousands of dollars in avoidable costs. I've spoken to providers who booked the wrong audit pathway, prepared for interviews they didn't need, or worse, thought verification meant easy and weren't prepared properly. And when the auditor asks for documentation they don't have, suddenly it doesn't feel simple anymore. Verification and certification are two completely different audit pathways under the NDIS registration system. They apply to different types of supports. They involve different depth of assessment. They require different levels of governance. And if you chose the wrong pathway or misunderstand the one you're on, it slows everything down. So today I'm going to explain what verification actually is, what certification actually is, how they're different, when each of them applies, and what you need to do to prepare properly. Because once you understand the mechanics, the anxiety can drop. Under the NDIS registration system, providers fall into two broad audit pathways, verification and certification. The pathway depends entirely on the type of supports you deliver. Verification generally applies to lower risk supports. For example, support coordination, plan management, assistance with household tasks, low-risk community participation. Certification applies to higher risk supports, for example, supported independent living, specialist behaviour support, high-intensity daily personal activities, specialist disability accommodation, implementing restrictive practices. Verification is document-based. Certification involves deeper auditing and on-site assessment. That's the structural difference. Now let's break that down properly. Where providers get caught is assumption. They assume verification means easy. They assume certification means impossible. Both are wrong. Verification audits are desktop reviews. You submit documentation. The auditor reviews it remotely. They check that you have required policies, your worker screening is in place, insurance is current, qualifications are appropriate, your systems align to the specific practice standard modules. There's no interviews, there's no site visits, and there's no participant file sampling in most cases. But here's where it trips people up. Verification still requires proper documentation. If your policies are generic templates, if your insurances don't match scope, if your worker screening is incomplete, you will receive non-conformities. It may be lighter, but it's still formal. Now, certification is not just paperwork. Stage 1 is the desktop review, and stage 2 is the on-site audit. Interviews with key personnel, interviews with workers, participant file reviews, observation of service delivery where that's appropriate. Certification audits assess governance maturity, not just whether a policy exists, but whether it's implemented, whether staff understand it, whether leadership monitors it. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many providers move into higher risk supports without upgrading their internal governance. They operate like a small team. But certification expects structured systems, board oversight, risk registers, incident analysis, continuous improvement evidence. And when that gap is exposed during stage 2, stress rises really quickly. It's not that certification is hard, it's that it expects operational discipline. So how do you approach each properly? If you are on the verification pathway, focus on clean documentation, clear service agreements, worker screening evidence, insurance certificates aligned to scope, basic policies tailored to your actual service. Verification is about readiness. If documents are clear, version controlled, and aligned, it moves smoothly. If you are on the certification method, think beyond paperwork. You need governance structure, documented risk management, incident reporting systems, evidence of internal audits, staff training registers, continuous improvement logs, and clear participant file structure. Certification is about implementation. The auditor is verifying that what you say you do actually happens. So choose your scope strategically. Some providers rush into registration groups like SIL or high intensity because they think it sounds more impressive. But higher risk registration brings higher compliance load. If your business is not ready structurally, you create pressure. Grow into complexity. Don't jump into it. Budget properly. Certification audits are more expensive. They take longer. They involve more preparation time. If you treat it like verification, you will underestimate the cost and effort. Upgrade leadership mindset. Verification is documentation. Certification is governance compliance. That's a different level of business maturity. So here is your action for this week. Look at your registration groups and ask yourself, are we verification or certification? And then ask, are our systems aligned to that level? If you are verification, review your documentation clarity. If you are certification, review your governance structure. And if you are planning to expand into higher risk supports, pause. Assess whether your internal systems are ready, because the audit itself isn't the problem. Misalignment is. And when your structure matches your scope, audits feel manageable. If this clarified the difference between verification and certification, hit subscribe, because running an NDIS business isn't just about services. It's about structure, and structure reduces pressure.